Next on the card is a fun one, a welterweight bout between Bryan Barberena and Randy Brown. And Randy Brown is coming off that vicious knockout loss to Nico Price, where Nico caught the foot behind his head and started hammer fisting him and knocked him out up against the cage. And but other than that, man, Randy Brown's talented. I mean, he lost decision to Bilal Muhammad, who is no fucking joke, and Muhammad would just go. You got this long range guy, right? And what do they have to use to cover distance? They got to use their legs. You got to beat their legs up. And Bilal Muhammad did a great fucking job of beating his legs up in that fight, and it really negated a lot of the stuff that Randy Brown does well, like using his reach and using his length and keeping people on the end of his punches. So the problem is he's fighting a guy in Bryan Barberena who's just tough as shit, right? I mean, he knocked out Jake Ellenberger, got knocked out. Who just knocked Bryan Barberena out? It was I cannot remember who it was. I'm gonna have to look it up. But Bryan Barberena is like I said, he's just tough, man, and he fights really well inside the pocket, and he's got a lot more power behind his punches than you would expect when you see him, right? He trains out of the MMA lab, I believe, with like the likes of Benson Henderson, Scott Holtzman, Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque is no fucking joke, though, man. I mean, for him to hang in that whole time, and I think he came back in the second round and won the second round, and he just throws volume, right? He's going to be pushing the pace. He's going to be. I don't necessarily think he's going to be able to use his wrestling to win this fight, because I think if you look at like what Randy Brown did to Mickey Gall, it's going to be hard to dominate him on the ground with Barberena's background. But what I do think you have to do if you're Barberena is you have to make this fight dirty. You got to turn this fight into a war, right, where you're fighting a lot in the clinch and you're throwing uppercuts and you're just dirty boxing him. Push him up against the cage, keep everything close, because if Randy Brown gets to utilize his weapons, right, and that length that he has and his ability to step in and snipe you and get back out and cover distance, he's also fast, right? He's not just long, he's fast. So not only can he cover distance well, but he can do it with speed. If Barberena can't turn this into a gritty type of fight, I think it's going to be a long night for him. If I'm Barberena, I'm looking for a lot of clinch battles. I'm looking for an exhausting fight. I'm trying to tire Randy Brown out. I'm trying to take the energy out of him. I'm using leg kicks. Like I said, I'm using the clinch. I'm short little uppercuts, in tight, like hooks. You got to stay tight, because if you get out into length, you're going to be playing in Randy Brown's world, and I don't think he wants to fight that fight. This is a tough one, man, because this one is like, sometimes it's about like who can make in-fight adjustments, right? And that's always the case, but sometimes it really does just boil down to style. And whoever is going to be able to impose their will in this fight, like that sounds such an obvious thing to say, but like with the way they match up, I think it's this matchup is a lot more simple than some of the other ones you're going to break down. Like Randy Brown is long, Bryan Barberena is not. Bryan Barberena is not a whiz on the ground, but he's good. And Randy Brown, like I said, he beat up Mickey Gall, so he's pretty good on the ground. So I think you're going to see a lot of the stay on the feet. And it's just going to boil down to whether Randy Brown can maintain distance. And if he can, he'll likely win. And if Barberena can close distance, he'll likely win. I think it's going to be a fun fight, potential fight of the night candidate, honestly. And I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm taking Randy Brown. I think that if he goes out and he's on his game, just his speed and everything, I think he'll be able to maintain that distance and keep him at bay and try to, when you get pushed up against the cage and get into those clinch positions, you don't need to stay there. You need to look for a way out and get back to the center for him. And Barberena's got to look for a way to keep him there.